So there are 5 methods, okay, for calculating the cost of equity capital. Number one, dividend price approach method. Please remember, whenever in a practical question only dividend rate or dividend is given to you at a time, we use this method. Are we clear? If in a practical question equity shares are there and only dividend rate is given to you, we will use the first method, dividend approach method. Formula is KE is equal to D upon NP. Number two, dividend price plus growth approach. So whenever in a practical question we have dividend plus growth rate, it means G. So for easy understanding or remembering, we called it in a practical question whenever we have G stand for growth, but हम याद रखेंगे कि जहाँ पे भी गर्लफ्रेंड होगी वहाँ पे हम second method use करें. Okay? कौन सी method? Method number 2, whenever we have a dividend rate and G box. Number 3, earning price approach. Earning price approach. Whenever in a practical question, only we have earning. We have net profit, we have profit after tax, but we does not have information about the dividend. At a time we use the third method. And the formula is very simple. KE is equal to E divided by N. Fourth method is bond yield plus risk premium, only theoretical point. If the theoretical question asks, you need to explain. In a practical question, we does not have any practical question. So don't worry about it. Come to the number 5. Number 5 is CAPM. What is the full form? Capital Assets Pricing Model. And whenever in a practical question we have BF, okay, girlfriend होगी तो number 2, BF होगा तो number 5. तो जब भी हमारे प्रैक्टिकल क्वेश्चन में BF आएगा तो हम कौन सा मेथड यूज करेंगे? CAPM. ये BF stand for beta factor. So in a practical question, if we have beta factor, if we have dividend rate, at a time we will use method number 5. Are we clear up to this? Okay. So cost of equity is clear. 4 practical methods and 4 different types of questions are there. You need to identify which question will be asked and which formula will be used. Now come to the second part, cost of preferences. Generally we have 8 preferences, but when it's come to the calculation of cost, only we have 2. Which one? Redeemable and irredeemable. Okay. So for identifying the question, first of all, you need to find that if it is preferences, okay. Preferences, it means we need to use the KP. Okay. In that practical question, if the redeemable word is there, if the redeemable word, 2 words, preferences plus redeemable. If 2 words are there, we will use the formula for redeemable preferences. Cost of redeemable preferences, KP is equal to DP plus in bracket RV minus NP upon N divided by RV plus NP upon 2. And for rest of all the preferences, if only preferences is given to you, dividend is given to you, premium or discount, whatever it is given to you, for all the other types of preferences, whether it is convertible, non-convertible, participative, non-participative, cumulative, non-cumulative, and irredeemable, for this all the preferences, we have simple formula KP is equal to DP divided by N. Are we clear about the cost of preference capital? Now coming to the third part, cost of debt capital. Again, the 2 concepts are applicable. One is debt is irredeemable, may be issued at a premium or discount. The formula is very simple. KD is equal to I upon NP. Instead of dividend, we are using I, interest. KD is equal to I upon NP. And again, if it is comes to redeemable debentures, so you need to use remember 2 words. Number 1 is debentures and number 2 is redeemable. If 2 words are there in a practical question, you need to use the cost of redeemable debenture. And the formula is KD is equal to I plus in bracket RV minus NP upon N in a bracket 1 minus T and entirely divided by RV plus NP upon 2. Are we clear about this? All the practical questions? अब आपको कोई भी मेथड पूछूं एग्जामिनेशन में, you are able to identify? Yes.
Sometimes we use that 8% and sometimes we use 8.
In which case?
In some case.
In some cases, I will tell you. In some cases, whenever it's come to our equity shares and it's come to our preference shares, at a time 8, okay, because the dividend and dividend on preference shares or on our equity shares will be paid on face value, okay, and face value generally we have 100. So when it is come to putting the value of D, okay, at a time we will use the amount rupees. So at a time we are putting rupees 8, and when it's come to our interest, that is our percentage. So we will write the exit value 0.08 whenever we have I. So whenever we have D, we will write amount in rupees, and whenever we have I, we will write the actual amount. It means in 0.8, 0.8, sorry, 0.08 or 0.10, 0.20, like this. Are we clear about this? Now, up to this, we have understood the two different parameters. The first parameter is from where companies are getting the funds. हमें मनी कहाँ से मिल रहा है, हमें यानी कि कंपनी को, इक्विटी, प्रेफरेंस, डेब्ट एंड इंटरनल सोर्सेस. Now, number 2 is what will be the cost of equity, preference, and debt. Okay. Now the point 3 comes. That is, what will be the composition? What will be the mixture of equity, debt, or a preference? Okay. Let me take one example to explain you this entire next topic. But before going for that, write down the title. Yes. Except sum of debentures. In sum of debentures, we have a value like rupees 10. But in most of cases, 99% cases, you will find 100 rupees. Yes, equity, preference, debentures, all. See, this slide is visible to you, everyone? मैंने शेयर कर दिया. I hope so. It is visible. Please confirm. Those are here in online mode. Yes. Thank you, Krupali and Raj. Okay. So now let's take an example. See, in Rajkot, tea is very famous. I'm right?
Yes.
Acha, can you tell me some names? The famous tea store. Okay. One is Khetlapa. Khetlapa or Khetlabapa? Khetlapa. Okay. Okay. Both. Number 1 is Tea Post. I think so. Tea Post. Number 2 is Khetlabapa. Number 3 is Naklang. Number 4 is something Korea. Momai. Yes. Momai. These 4 are suppose the best tea maker in Rajkot city. Tea Post, Khetlapa, Naklang, and Momai. These 4 are the stores. Okay. And you and me, sometimes we are not regularly making a tea like them, but sometimes whenever we need, we want, or if the family members are not available, we are making the teas. Yeah. Okay. So can you tell me which ingredients are required for tea? क्या क्या चाहिए हमें टी बनाने के लिए? 1 is milk. Number 2, sugar. Number 3, sorry, चाय पत्ती, tea itself, tea. Number 4, sugar आ गया, milk, sugar, tea, अदरक, अदरक एंड जो भी पुदीना एंड मसाला आप डालते हो उसको मैं बताऊं टी मसाला. Okay. The 4 components are required: milk, sugar, tea, and tea masala. Okay. Now, for making a particular tea, a standard tea, you need to use a particular proportion. Okay. In 1 liter milk, you need to add this gram of sugar, this gram of tea, and this proportion of tea masala. Are you getting my point? For making that particular tea, special tea called. So here, the component or composition of each element is fixed. Are we clear? In general, it is fixed कि भाई एक मिल्क की चाय बनानी है तो इसमें हम शुगर इतना डालेंगे, इतना चाय पत्ती डालेंगे और इतना उसमें चाय मसाला पड़े, वो एक जनरल कंपोजिशन फिक्स. Now can you tell me this composition, this element is unique or it's a common, everyone is using and every time we will follow the same structure? Somehow it is common, but it is not necessary that every time for each and every person we are using the same formula. No. Suppose somebody comes to you and he said, I have diabetes, then you need to reduce one component, that is sugar. अच्छा, कोई दूसरा आया कि वो बोल रहा है कि सर मेरा बीपी लो, आई नीड समथिंग, तो आप क्या करोगे? You will add more sugar. Are you getting my point? So here, as a person to person, the composition of these elements are differ. Now, coming to our subject, here T means your capital structure. T means capital structure, and as the T is a composition of these four elements: sugar, tea, milk, and tea masalas, the capital structure is a combination of equity, preference, debt, and internal sources. Are we clear? Okay. And for each and every company, this capital structure is default. Depend upon the size, depend upon the operation, depend upon the requirement, depend upon the objective, depend upon the needs and wants of the company. Are we clear? तो किसी एक कंपनी का जो कैपिटल स्ट्रक्चर है मे भी दूसरी कंपनी के लिए वो सेम नहीं होगा. आई होप सो द बैकग्राउंड इज क्लियर. नाउ कमिंग टू नेक्स्ट. Okay, generally we have two sources for getting the finance: equity and debt. Now our question is, what should be the proportion of debt and equity in a capital structure of the company? Okay, अब हमें क्या डिसाइड करना है कि हम जो टी बनाने वाले हैं वो टी बनाने में कितना शुगर, कितना चाय पत्ती, कितना मसाला एंड कितना मिल्क रखें फॉर आवर टेस्ट एंड प्रेफरेंस. तो इसी तरह से हमें ये डिसाइड करना है कि एक जो पर्टिकुलर कंपनी है वो कंपनी का पूरा कैपिटल स्ट्रक्चर बनाने के लिए हमें कितना इक्विटी रखना होगा, कितना प्रेफरेंस, कितना डेट एंड कितना इंटरनल रिसोर्सेज. Are we clear? The capital structure refers to a kind of securities and proportionate amount that make up a capitalization. It is a mix of different sources of long-term sources like equity, preference, debentures, long-term loans, and retained earning. Are we clear? Concept is clear? It's very simple. Capital structure means combination or a mixture of equity, preference, debenture, bonds, and retained earning. अकाउंटिंग की लैंग्वेज में अगर हम इसको लिखें तो इस तरह से लिख सकते हैं. In accounting language, capital structure is equal to total assets minus current liabilities, or else you can write like this: capital structure is equal to equity capital plus preference capital plus debt capital and plus reserve and surplus. Reserve and surplus means your internal sources, your retained earnings. Are we clear? Again I repeat, capital structure means a combination of different sources of finance that includes equity, preference, debt, and internal sources. So it is a sum total of equity, preference, debt, and internal sources. Are we clear about the concept? Okay. Now the next term is optimum capital structure. Optimum capital structure. Let's take the previous example of tea. Suppose I have paid 100 rupees at a tea post for one tea. How many rupees? 100 rupees for one tea, cup of tea. And I expecting the satisfaction level, suppose for 20 points. Okay, मैं उसको points में measure कर रहा हूँ. Okay, I am expecting that I will receive or I will get the satisfaction of 20 points. But instead of 20 points, I am getting only the satisfaction up to 10 points. Are you getting my point? So somehow I am not satisfied with the tea post tea. Are you agree with me? मैंने 100 रुपीज एक कप ऑफ टी के लिए दिए हैं और मैंने एक सेटिस्फेक्शन अज्यूम किया था कि इतना सेटिस्फेक्शन मिलेगा, बट वो सेटिस्फेक्शन मुझे नहीं मिल रहा. Now coming to the next aspect. Suppose I'm going to another stop, okay, called as Naklan, okay, and I paid 50 rupees for a cup of tea, and I am expecting the satisfaction level of 20 points, but I get the satisfaction of 30 points. Are you getting my point? So I'm extremely satisfied with parameters. So here two parameters are there. Number one is cost of tea. I'm right. In 100 rupees, I am not satisfied, but with 50 rupees, I am satisfied. So whenever I go for a next time, whenever I go for or I am demanding for a tea, I must pay for a nickel. Are we clear? So number one, your optimum capital structure means a mixture of a equity and a debt in a way that maximize the market value of the company at a minimum cost of capital. In a simple language, the maximum satisfaction at minimum cost. It is called as optimum capital structure. Are we clear? जिसको हम बोलते हैं कि मजा आ गया. Okay, that is called as optimum capital structure. Are we clear about the term? A mixture of debt and equity which will maximize the market value of the company at a minimum cost of capital. Okay, as I said, as a person to person, the taste and preference will differ. From company to company, the capital structure will be different. In some of company, you will find only equities. In some of companies, you will find equity and preference. In some of company, you will find equity and debt. And in some of company, you will find this three component: equity, preference, debt. Are we clear about the forms of capital structure? In practical world, in real world, most of the companies are following D option. Okay, D option. Most of the companies have equity, preference, and debt, and those companies are there. Those are manufacturing the large products. Okay, the capital products. For that, the number two, equity and debt. Sorry, number three, equity and debentures or debt. But generally, we have number four. So if somebody asks that which capital structure is followed by the company, you need to write equity, preference, and debt. Are we clear? Shall we go for the next? Okay. Now write down the important point. Main title, and on the left side and on the right side, whenever you need or you feel, write down important. For a theoretical question, this is important part from unit number 2. And it's for 8 parts. The title is Determinants of Capital Structure. The examiner may ask like this: factor affecting to capital structure or factor influencing capital structure. So some of authors said it is determinants. Okay, some of authors said it is factor that affecting the capital structure. Title done? Okay. Now the number 1. You need to write just only point. You are not supposed to write each and every line. The use of long-term fixed interest-bearing debt and preferences capital along with the equity capital is called as a financial leverage. Now let's understand the financial leverage first, okay, and then after we will try to understand how it will affect the capital structure of the company. Financial leverage means using that particular securities in which company is required to pay a fixed return, okay, in a capital structure. Okay, for your easy understanding, let's take an example of tea. It is possible to make a tea without milk. मैं ग्रीन टी की बात नहीं कर, the normal tea. It is possible to now be here. It is not a point of discussion. Just in normal case. In exceptional case, we can do anything. Okay. मैन वर्सेस वाइल्ड आप देख रहे हो तो वहां पे क्या हो रहा है, क्या खा सकते हैं, क्या पी सकते हैं, एवरीथिंग इज पॉसिबल. Okay, but in normal cases we can't make a tea without milk. So the milk is necessary. Okay, but we can make a tea without sugar. Without the sugar, easily you can make it, but the taste is different. Now. यहाँ पे आ जाओ. Now the point is that, see, some of components, elements, ingredients are compulsory to use. Okay, so for each and every company, equity capital is must. Equity capital is must. तो सभी कंपनी के पास इक्विटी कैपिटल तो होगी. Now the next is option about the debt and preference. If the company are using the debt and preferences, it's called as company using the leverage. Which leverage? Financial leverage. Why financial leverage? Here financial leverage means कि using that particular securities कि जहाँ पे हमें एक fixed interest pay करना है. Suppose company are using 10% debentures. What it indicate? In respect of profit or loss, company need to pay 10% interest on debentures. Are we clear? Any doubt? Are we clear? Okay, so financial leverage means whenever companies are using a debenture or a preferences in a capital structure, at a time it is called as a financial leverage. Now comes how it will define the कैपिटल स्ट्रक्चर. वो किस तरह से अफेक्ट करता है, पॉजिटिवली नेगेटिवली. अगर इंक्रीज होगा तो क्या होगा, डिक्रीज होगा तो क्या होगा. If company have a stable incomes, okay, if the companies have a plan or have an objective, have a that type or that nature of operation in which they are generating the regular incomes, at the time financial leverage is used. Like as a telecommunication industries, like as the automobile industries, like as FMGC industries, because these products are continuously demanded by the customers. Are we clear? तो अगर कोई FMGC कंपनी होगी, कोई ऑटोमोबाइल कंपनी होगी, तो वो दोनों यूज करेगा. क्या क्या? इक्विटी भी यूज करेगा, डेब्ट एंड प्रेफरेंस भी यूज करेगा. Are we clear? But some of companies are there. Okay. Suppose those companies are manufacturing the army equipments. क्या उसकी regular demand रहती है? No. Okay, some of companies are working or manufacturing the fire equipments. Are you getting my point? So in that case, the demand of the product is not continuously, so generally companies are preferring, they are only using the equity capital. They are not using the debt capital or preference capital. Are we clear? So अगर ऐसी कोई कंपनी होगी कि जहां पे रेगुलर इनकम है तो फाइनेंशियल लीवरेज वहां पे एक मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट कंपोनेंट होगा. अगर ऐसी कंपनी नहीं है तो फाइनेंशियल लीवरेज का कोई मतलब नहीं. Are we clear about this? So this is number 1. Now going to number 2. Two is growth and stability of cells. Now just read the second point and third point, you will get the clear idea. If the cells are expected to remain fairly stable, it can raise a higher level of debt. Why? If your cells is remain same, your cells means a company cells remain same. In that case, what happens? If the cells remain same, what happens? Your income remains same. Your income remains same. It means your net profit remains same. Are we clear? सपोज कि लास्ट ईयर में 10 लाख का सेल था और 2 लाख का प्रॉफिट था, तो यहाँ पे भी 10 लाख का सेम सेल्स होगा, 2 लाख का वापस से प्रॉफिट होगा. सो इन दैट केस कंपनीज एबिलिटी टू पे द फिक्स्ड रेट डिविडेंड्स. ओके, अगर ऐसे केस में वो डिबेंचर्स यूज कर रही है तो क्या होगा? द रेट इज सपोज 10%. Debentures that company using, the interest rate is 10%. It means company need to pay only 10% to debenture holders. But instead of debentures, if company are using the equity shares, then whatever the profit generated, that profit will be distributed among the equity shareholders. Are you getting my point? तो यहाँ पे 2 लाख में से मान लो कि 20,000 रुपीज तुम्हारा इंटरेस्ट जा रहा है, तो कोई बात नहीं, जाने दो. If you are using the debt, that's why company prefer high level of debt. जितना ज्यादा होगा उतना लोन यूज करेगा, क्योंकि लोन पे रिटर्न फिक्स है. But if the company use the equity shares, it means अगर यहाँ पे 2 लाख का प्रॉफिट है, वापस से 2 लाख का प्रॉफिट होगा, total profit 4 lakh. The 4 lakh will be distributed among the equity shareholders as a dividend. Are we clear? Come to the third point. If the sales are highly fluctuated, up and down, up and down, up and down, it should not use a debt capital. Why? Because this time you have net profit. By chance, if your sales is good, it means your income is less. As income is less, there is a possibility of loss. And in case of loss, there is no dividend. But in case of loan, you need to pay again 10%. Are we clear about the concept? Okay, if the sales is stable, your income is stable, profit is stable, we use more debt. And if the sales is up, down, up, down, up, down, like this, then we use equity shares. So from that point of view, the growth and stability will affect the capital structure. Are we clear about number 2? Number 3. I don't think so any explanation is required for this. Cost of capital. Which capital having the highest cost? Equity. Which cost is cheapest source of finance? Debentures or debt. Okay. So debts, number 2, line number 2. Debt is cheaper source of finance as compared to preference and equity. तो अगर कोई कंपनी ऐसी है कि जो इनिशियली स्टार्ट हो रही है और जिसको मिनिमम कॉस्ट पे कैपिटल चाहिए, फंड्स चाहिए, तो वो क्या करेगी? दे आर यूजिंग द डेब्ट. एंड सम ऑफ कंपनीज दोज आर ऑलरेडी एस्टैब्लिश्ड एंड दे आर नॉट वरी अबाउट द returns to preference shares or equity shares, they are using the preference shares. The highest is equity capital. Second one is preference. Number third is debt. So generally, first company prefer the debt. If debt is not available, company go for a preference, and if preference are not available, then company go for the equities. Are we clear? Cash flow ability. Cash flow ability. The same is applicable to here. This concept, the concept of growth and stable sales. If company have ability to undertake or to generate the same cash flow, okay, if the company having ability to generate the same cash flow, it means same profit, and same profit, it means there is no issue about paying the debentures or a debt or a loan interest. The concept is clear. If the same cash flow is there or company have ability to generate the same cash flow, it means the net profit remains same, and out of that net profit we can pay the interest on debentures, bonds and loans. But if your cash flow is like this, up and down, so there is no stability in a profit, and sometimes you have negative cash flow and sometimes you have positive cash flow. So in positive cash flow, there is no issue. But in case of negative cash flow, again you need to pay the fixed interest on debentures or loans. Because these returns, these expenses of interest are in respective of profit, in respective of cash flow. लॉस है नेगेटिव केस फ्लो है तो भी इंटरेस्ट तो पे करना है एज पर द रूल आर वी क्लियर so from that point of view if the company having stable or ability to generate the same cash flow during the next 5 years 10 years they are using the loans they are using the debentures for next 5 years 10 years and if the company does not have ability to generate the same cash flow they are generally preferring the equity shares ऐसा नहीं है कि सभी कंपनी डेब्ट को प्रीफर नहीं करती इन सम ऑफ कंपनीज दे आर आल्सो प्रीफरिंग द डेब्ट इवन दो दे डज नॉट हैव अ स्टेबल और ability to generate the same case. Are we clear about this 4 number? Okay, number 5. Okay, read out. I don't think so any explanation is required here. Achha, are you aware about the IPO?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So generally, which companies are offering IPO? Partnerships. Wait. Partnerships, small scales, medium scales, or large scales. Generally, exceptions are again there. Generally, which companies are offering IPO? Those are players in the share market. They must know. किसने बोला था यस यस आप दोनों बताया स्मॉल मीडियम और लार्ज generally large scale companies are offering IPOs chalo now coming to this point so what is the conclusion here what large scale means public companies those are public companies are preferring more equities okay if you see here may employ more debt because stability and regularity in their earnings but which companies only public companies जो भी पब्लिक कंपनीज है वो पब्लिक कंपनीज क्योंकि इक्विटी तो एक बार आ गया उनको आईपीओ इश्यू कर दिया इक्विटी आ गया अब इक्विटी के बारे में तो कोई दिक्कत है नहीं तो वापस से दे आर नॉट गोइंग फॉर एफपीओ फॉलोइंग पब्लिक ऑफर दे आर गोइंग फॉर डेट तो जनरली those companies those are in a large scale they are using a more debt as compared to small companies medium scale companies because medium scale companies and small companies are preferring only one or two types of sources maybe they go for equity or maybe they go for a preference and maybe they go for a loans are we clear तो जितनी बड़ी कंपनी होगी उतना डेप्ट ज्यादा होगा and this is the case of Vijay Mallya. Are you aware with this?
Yes.
Okay. Nirav Modi. Okay, these both persons are having huge amount of debt capital because both the companies are public companies. Are we clear about this? Number 6. Already this we have discussed in the last sessions whenever you started the sources of finance. Okay. You have control. Control means control over the company. Control in the sense, who are the considered as the owner of the company? Equity shareholders. Are you getting my point? So if the company issue the equity shares in the market, it will dilute the control of the company. Dilute the control means if we have 50 shares, then 50 may take one decision. But if we have 200 shares, then it is difficult to create one particular decision because we require at least 75% aggregate to pass that particular decision. Out of all the shareholders, at least 75% are agree with that decision, then and then it become a policy. So as more equity shares, your company's control will dilute, and less equity shares, control of the company is on the hand of few people. तो ऐसे केस में जो भी बोर्ड ऑफ डायरेक्टर्स कहेंगे वो हो सकता है if the equity shares are less, number of equity shareholders are less. So in that case, board of directors, they can do anything that they want. So here the simple explanation is that if the company wants to control on their own hands, they go for a preference and debt. But if the company is not concerned about the control over the company, over the management, they go for the equity shares. Are we clear? टाइम हो गया? Okay, one last one. उसके बाद इसको हम कंप्लीट करते हैं. Flexibility. Okay, one question for all of you. Once the equity shares are issued in the market, is there any chance to change the face value or to change the dividend or to change the amount of equity capital? Once it is issued, is there any chance to change the face value? No. फेस वैल्यू 100 है, एक बार इश्यू हो गया तो 100 ही रहेगी बेटा. Once it is issued, I am talking about the equity capital. Once it is issued, it's remains same. Okay, suppose the company has issued 10% preferences. It means this 10% remains same. There is any possibilities that company can change them from 10 to 12 or 10 to 8? No, as per the rule, company can't change. So if company want a flexible capital structure, that company can change as per the requirement. Companies are using more debt capital. Are you getting my point? उनको अगर capital structure थोड़ा बहुत flexible चाहिए, so they are using more debt capital. And if the company stick with the particular structure, then company use and go for a equity shares. Why the capital structure is flexible in case of debt or in case of loan? Because loan company can take from a bank as per the requirement. If a company required money for a 1 year or less than 1 year, company can go for a short-term loan. If a company required a loan for 2 years, company can go for a 2 years loan. If a company required loan for 5 years, company can raise loan up to 5 years. Are we clear? So from that point of view, it is flexible. तो अगर कैपिटल स्ट्रक्चर फ्लेक्सिबल रखना है तो हम डेब्ट कैपिटल को मोर प्रेफरेंस देंगे, और अगर उसको एक स्टेबल कर देना है, फिक्स कर देना है, तो हम इक्विटी कैपिटल को यूज करेंगे. So are we clear up to this 7? Just repeat 1 to 7. Number 1, financial leverage. Number 2, growth and stability in sales. Number 3, cost of capital. Number 4, cash flow ability. Number 5, nature and size of business. Number 6, control. And number 7, flexibility. Remaining points we will discuss in the next class. Thank you so much for joining, and you may go for a lunch break. Thank you once again.